1, 2, 3, 4. We're all here. Welcome back. We are finally back with FANFO after a one missed session, and now we are back. From where we last left off, we had fought this creature inside of the sewer from a bad risk roll redeemed by, I think that was either Igor or Midget. I can't remember.
That was Igor. I don't roll for risk rolls for my own squad because I'm respectful.
Mm. Uh,
Sure.
Rolled a very bad roll on that end and summoned a creature that was already hiding within the dungeon. Within, not the dungeon, the sewers. I apologize. It almost wiped out the party. It killed. Technically, it did kill Hazel, but
Yeah, it did kill me.
with a cleric clutching in right at the pearls at the last second, saved the party by summoning it into a fucking pit and
Into the
say
pit.
and spare the dying and all the fun shit on Hazel. And within 9 hours of sparing her body, was able to cast full resurrection and revive her. And now, as we pick back up with Igor collapsing on the bed, uh, collapsing on the bed and filling in, Hazel being filled in about what transpired in the last 9 hours, when for her it was probably maybe 6 or 7 seconds.
And it's scary because there is no afterlife. It's just a dark void of nothingness.
The fuck?
That you know of. Your soul was still technically in your body.
It's just nothing. Whatever religion you believe in, it's
all a
for
joke.
there
Now,
is
hear
no
me out.
gods.
Now,
There
hear
are
me
no
out.
gods.
If we were TPK'd, would we be traversing through the hells as a group of 4?
That would be fucking
I thought about
hilarious.
that. I legit
We
thought
kill-
about that.
We kill the god
I
of
would
death.
I would not mind a
Dante's Inferno style.
I was actually thinking what's it called? Descendant to Avernus type mentality.
Oh, Descent to Avernus? Yeah, that would have been
Yeah,
good
yeah.
too. I mean, we could have stopped it there. We could have done the Descent style complete change of the campaign. But we're here. Igor has collapsed on the bed. Hazel is still.
I will not allow it.
He's, yeah. He's collapsed from exhaustion and has gone straight to sleep. And Hazel is being filled in about what has transpired. And at this point, the party then decides, where do we go from here?
We're going to go
We still need to find Fungal Bitch.
We can go find Garfunkel.
I don't care if I'm dead and no one else.
I think the worst thing that's gonna be down there is dealt with, I would think. Ish.
That seems about right.
Yeah, we just can't fight that in the astral sewer itself.
You're asleep. You're asleep.
You hear me as I say in my sleep. There's
Damn,
probably
why
not
didn't you
another one
fucking
down
say
there.
anything? No, I did not see him.
I am also a slave. I
You just said.
did pass out of. Well, yeah, I immediately passed out after I looked in my backpack.
Oh, yeah.
And my guy collapsed after reviving.
Yeah, so it is ankle duster talking to
What?
himself.
Yeah. Just gets on the side of the room freaking out about the end times.
Hen times?
End times.
Ah.
It's upon us. Don't worry.
The hen times are upon us. I see.
We might as well skip to the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm about to say easy skip
I'm
to the
gonna say ankle
morning.
dust.
Everyone wakes up, refreshed, revived, alive.
In spirit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing
And-
bad will ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Homies
Every-
never die.
Yep, I'll take credit for that. You're welcome, dude.
So what is kind of our plan going forward now then?
Guess we can just delve into there and continue looking to see Onward with the same goal, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, Lucy's got another diamond.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, I do.
We just procure another one.
I know he has an extra.
Well, I
Mhm.
mean, we also could just procure more. We have a
Yeah.
rather large amount of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go back.
Let's go back.
Yes, I would like to go back.
Alrighty.
Are you
So
ready?
we're just gonna jump in like that.
Yeah, we just act like nothing happened.
Because nothing did happen.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know what? Before we go in there, I do want to grab a random piece of cork.
A random piece of cork.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Like, pop it off a bottle.
Of pork.
Who's your first one?
Cork.
Yummy. Get some bacon.
Okie dokie. So, as we then go back around and give it another try.
Work on this one.
Why not?
Because why not? I will then go ahead and just really quickly expedite you all back to the area where this creature was.
He didn't go for you, but he
Just to
also didn't
save
go
time
for
and
me.
bullshit, you've missed minuscule amounts.
Mhm.
From this point then forward, I believe somebody grabbed papers off the desk. Well, looky there, folks. Looky there, folks. You've got a risk roll redeemed. Thank you.
Who the fuck did that?
Thank you to MS. Let's see what bullshit happens today.
That MS's Sunday campaign?
No. Holy fuck, it's actually another nat 20.
I crave that.
I'm so sorry.
I would like to use my DM dice.
Oh! Good
Oh.
shit. Good shit. So with the DM die, I have to re-roll this. If it's another nat, and whatever lands on is what it gets. If it's another natural 20, I'm not apologizing.
I demand you burn the dice if it is.
No.
I know where you live, Duncan.
Yeah, hobble
No,
on.
I will burn your dice if it is.
Or dox you on
That
Twitch.
is actually a natural 1.
Oh, thank God.
So that means you have to,
nothing.
in
No.
real life, give me $20.
No, it doesn't.
The natural one feels like something bad is about to happen.
We find
Also
gold.
unfortunate for me.
A whole bag of gold just flushes down a toilet they were trying to hide from the army, and it just lands in our hands.
Oh. No. Nice try, but no. I believe someone did grab some notes before the whole monster thing happened.
I want to say so, but I don't remember who.
Well, it depends. Are we talking about the stuff that they
It would have been on the desk to the left.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was like about all the stuff that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically like a diary and a map.
Van Frank?
Funny.
Yeah.
Funny, but no. I'm not seeing it on anyone's. I'm not seeing it on anyone's notes, so I assume no.
Well, yeah, I still don't have
Oh,
access to it.
oh
But,
shit! Yeah, I forget that.
but it's okay.
Pop me your. If you want to swap over and use Obsidian, you could.
Obsidian?
It's a different note-taking app.
Sure. I'll figure that out. We can keep going now.
You
Yeah.
should, you're the note taker.
So, after you return back to this area, the body is gone. There is no remnants of the fight except for scratch marks in the ground and scrapes of weapons left within the slime and the sludge.
Could have also just been a good time.
Yeah, just huffing those fumes, buddy. Just huffing those shit fumes when the river shits.
I would like to make a survival check.
Okay.
I'm looking for tracks to see if the body was dragged off, or if there's like it got back up and started moving again.
I think it may.
Oh
or
wait, no,
not
it got
gotten
ate by
dragged to
it got
hell.
ate by the.
Yeah, I got ate by the fucking maw.
Then I don't need a survival check. Fuck that shit.
Correct. I was about to be like, you're gonna waste this, but okay.
Igor wasting something? No.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So there's your little boat, right there, next to another little boat.
That's the barrel.
Boat and barrel.
That is my barrel.
Yes, that is your barrel. Are we going to
Barrel
continue?
of-
Are we going to continue on in searching, or what else were we going to do from here?
We resurface and do another side quest and act like we were never down here. It's a joke.
I mean, so we had found the guy, the weird skeleton guy.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know anything about what was going on at all.
Very
But
unhelpful.
we did find these mushrooms over here, so we know we're maybe on the right track. So we kind of can make a choice. I think we could probably go down from here.
What I was thinking.
Yeah.
So are we going to walk or take the boat and barrel?
Ankle Duster, what do you think?
I think we can walk.
Yeah, well, we could probably from right here, right? From right here, we can probably see further down, right?
Just a smidgen, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, this is a big map, ain't it?
Yeah, it's fucking huge. I did this on purpose. So what you see down, you see what seems to be like a cloth-style tarp, like half canopy tent, and then a little side entrance off to the right with a little wood-burning stove.
I want to see what's going on over here. I'd like to
Yeah.
search the area.
Roll me investigation, and as you walk in, you see disheveled chairs, crates, dropped daggers, and books, and a few other things, and bookshelves containing random pieces of parchment and books.
Great at investigation. It's a +2.
Jesus!
Don't worry, guys. I looked
Can I-
thoroughly. There's
Can I roll as
nothing.
well?
There's no need. I already looked. Do you not believe me?
Bing.
You kind of just looked around the room, swiveled your head.
Damn it. Help me.
I'd rolled investigation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
21.
So within that, you kind of actually take your time and look through, flip through pages, and reading the spines of some of the books and parchments. And
Oh my gosh.
you realize that most of the books and parchments here are all about infrastructure and all about water infrastructure, water flow, repair methods, and
really
stuff like
funny.
that, and catalogs of where certain materials come from.
Hooray, run!
You
Okay,
do
so
notice that
useless shit. Got it.
you do notice that
Fucking useless.
that on the table is a book that is opened and it seemed to be hastily written in before a giant pen mark just scratches it off.
Do I
It's in common.
recognize the language?
It
Okay.
is common, and it says the men are disappearing. The noises are getting louder. I fear we are. Then it seems to have been abruptly pulled away.
Like, did he write A H?
No, it's more guttural. Back on throat.
It has in quotation marks guttural.
Guttural? No.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Something. Took somebody else that was here.
I can't imagine what it
Oh
could
man,
be.
you planted
know,
that stuff
right?
there. That wasn't there when I looked.
Okay. Main shit here we're looking at.
Ah,
I'm
it's
gonna
random
insight check.
photos.
Good old Duster.
What?
I'm inciting you because I need to know if you're telling me the truth or not.
I mean, like I said, I didn't see anything there when I looked.
Take a roll.
Yeah. I was trying to find my insight. Let's see your deception.
I technically didn't lie. I didn't see anything there when I looked.
Persuasion.
Technically, yes. So
Am I
with
rolling?
Uh,
Yeah, it would be
yes,
against his
you would roll
persuasion / deception.
Let's see, what's my persuasion? The +5.
Damn, he's very persuasive.
So
I don't believe you.
you may not believe him, but it seems like he's being genuine when he's like, I didn't see anything, because he's. It seems like he's being truthful, but there's something about it that's like, maybe you didn't look hard enough.
Yeah.
So where to from here?
Move down. More.
Going down.
In the south. Is down the map south?
Yes.
That
Okay.
is... I tried to think of a dumb-ass way to say that, but I couldn't think of anything in time.
Good. Sorry. As you then round the corner, you see a bunch of pillows and cots and campfires that are cold, pots and
Nap time.
storage, and nap time. This seemed to be like a partial sleeping area, but it's very disheveled, very not up to par of even regular peasantry living. It seems just to be scraps of anything thrown together.
Yes.
I mean, investigation.
You could.
Go on, Charlotte.
Oh. So that's 16.
What the fuck was that?
Mhm.
Did you see that?
So you realize that this is a homeless
Why'd you say
man's,
you
a homeless
did?
person's shelter. They've just taken used bed cots and used pieces of damp straw and tossed it and made it their own, as their own personal little hideaways away. And finding
All the long grass?
mostly half-rusted pieces and of metal, of random assorted teacups and kettles, wine bottles throughout. You do find some letters, but a quick glance through them, it just seems to be remnants of their past lives.
Oh, okay.
And I think the killers only get
Should we cross here or keep going south?
Left is right.
Huh?
Left is right.
Technically, it'd be right.
Okay, I don't. I want to face north and then say no, that's left.
You're gonna walk to this side of it and go, we're
There
going
you go.
left.
I'm gonna walk backwards and make a left.
We're gonna go, yeah, we'll
You
go
will
this way, I
step.
guess.
You will step into the sludge.
I would like to do a little side
I went
hop,
to
see
go
if I
get
can make it.
Yes, you can make the side hop. It's only like a
but it
5
looks
foot
like
jump.
it's a
You're
good thing
fine.
that I left when I did.
Lucy's out here this whole session so far. Actually.
Actually. So within this area, you see that there's a doorway right there off to your right, and then it seems to be another winding, twisting, turning area. The doorway seems to be of random pieces of driftwood, but reinforced with other assorted pieces of metal and iron.
I'm trying to open it.
It is locked.
You know what I'm doing.
Oh, what are you doing? Tell me.
I'm lockpicking it.
You're moving out of the way so I can charge through it.
Absolutely, my bad, G.
Oh, excuse me. I was unaware of your game.
Oh wait, you can actually lockpick it. I was.
Yeah, he.
Nah, man, you said the game plan. Charge through.
Here we go. Athletics, yeah.
Yep, athletics.
I must put plus 52.
As you charge and barge your shoulder down, and your head barely scraping the top of the stone frame as you kind of misjudge the distance. The door then bangs as you push into it, and then breaks and shatters open. As if one final give was what it was needed.
Oh my god, they're both
Or-
here.
Reveal-
Is open.
Definitely not up to code.
Revealing an actually very well done and well furnished room. With little bits of plants, a throw rug, a stove and furnace in the fireplace, and 2 separate rooms in the back.
Out of the way.
What is this?
After you.
I don't know, go up close to it. As you get up closer to that, it seems, as you cross the threshold, it seems to be as if this room was done in the best of its abilities to be a child's room.
Dude, he is still on me. Like, obsessed.
Is that a flute?
Oh, sure.
Damn.
I take it.
Halfway
It's mine
across
now.
the fucking map,
Okay.
too, dude.
Go in
You
here.
love me.
Uh-huh.
What's in here?
This seems to be a study. This seems to be a study of some sort. Random dishes scattered throughout with different elements on mostly
but he really
herbs
should not have
throughout.
this many fucking
One
zombies.
random plant growing in the corner.
Is it?
He should
Can I roll
not
a-
have as
or
many
investigate?
zombies.
Yes, you may roll
or
investigate.
perception?
Investigate or perception. And perception is
I'll go
for
perception.
Perception's for visual, investigation's for touching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I will do perception first because I have +5.
16. So with the 16, you realize that this is almost an herbologist level lab. That most things are organized and set off in measuring scales and test tubes. Someone was trying to make something here, but you don't know exactly what, as most of these herbs and powders are foreign to you.
Okay, and then I'll just do investigate to rummage around everything.
21. So with the 21, as you rummage and start picking things up, you do recognize a few of these herbs, but still have no idea what he was actually trying to make. Until you get to some of the pots excuse me, over to the right. And over to the right, it's filled with some mushrooms of the glowing blue variety. And also some of the ones that you remember being around outside of one of the other doors.
Impermanent.
Huh?
Alright, get the fuck out of here.
There's like, nope, fuck this.
Nothing worth in here.
I'm gonna start playing the flute as I walk out.
Roll me performance.
Oh, hell yeah. That is a +2. This is gonna be a great solo, guys.
No, it's not.
I go grab it out of his hands.
No.
Grab
Uncanny
Fucking
dodge?
Uncanny dodge. As he then just kind of like matrices your giant hand and continues to play the flute out loud very poorly with flat notes and whistles and sharps as it's then piercing and echoing throughout the sewer. And he is not stopping.
I cast silence and I put my hands over my ears.
You're a joke. You're a fucking joke. Thorpe cast
That's rude.
fireball. No, it's funny because he's a barbarian. There
I
was
cast
also,
silence and cover my ears with my
Uh-huh.
hands.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's something we used to do with a character called Thorpe. He was a barbarian with a wizard complex. His fireball would be lighting a torch on fire and throwing it at people. It was great. So you, with your fingers dug into your ears and hands covering it, every now and then you hear a sharp whine of this whistle, but for the most part it's deafened. Where are you leading us, oh King of Rats?
Oh. Continue playing the flute.
The poopy piper.
The Poopy Pecker.
No, poopy piper
left
because
is
we're in the
right,
sewer.
Oh, the Poopy
yeah, we'll
Piper.
go. Left is right, we go down here.
What the fuck is that? Is that a skeleton or is that a fucking statue right here?
That is a statue. As you then glimpse over to the statue, it does seem to be similar to the first statue at the very front, but instead of a knighted paladin's head, it seems to be almost like either an orc or a demon head on top of a body of armor, and instead of a cup holding in its hands, it's holding a stone dagger in one out palmed hand, and the other one is a stone bowl.
Left.
Alright, well, it was destined. I put the flute away. I'm gonna piss in the bowl. It is happening this time.
Oh,
Oh
Asher.
god, he's rolling.
Oh my god. Hazel, quick, it's happening. He's doing it.
Oh, shit luck for you, kid.
What happens?
As you piss in the bowl with a natural one,
Help.
the eyes of this
I'm dead.
dead statue start to glow red, and you hear thundering and roaring as it echoes out. You dare defy the sacred statue, meant as offerings.
I start walking away.
I couldn't stop myself, man. There's a second one. I had to.
Well, now we gotta piss in the first one, too.
Ah, shit.
As then
It's like,
you hear
it shall be a puzzle.
you then hear the jarring and snapping of stones and mortar, as then this thing grips its dagger and lets the bowl drop to the ground, and it then just takes a forceful step towards you.
Now your piss is all over the ground. What the hell?
It's a
Where else would
sewer.
it go?
It's a sewer.
Okay, but it's worse when it's your own.
I would say you have 1 round before we roll initiative.
I'm gonna jump behind this corner, or run behind this corner.
Bitch.
We
5,
should
10,
we should shove
15.
we should shove him into the water.
And then I'm gonna throw my cloak hood up.
Okay, so you have your hood up. Igor, Hazel, what are y'all doing?
I'm gonna say that it is probably not our problem, and we can just walk away from it, and he surely will not follow us.
Surely
I
not, right?
just start walking this direction.
Calmly?
Calmly, just walking away, whatever. And I pick up at Hazel as I do.
Yeah.
What the? Where did Piglet just go?
Way the
Vanished.
fuck away.
Or Piglet?
He is not
Lucifer.
about it. I don't like the picture of that thing, and I don't like that you had it so quickly.
Wow, it's like it's my fucking job.
Is it?
He put it
You
there
paid
for
for
me to
this?
piss in the cup and this to happen.
I'm just the DM. I just tell the story. Whatever do you mean? So we're not even engaging anything, we're just walking away.
I'm gonna try.
Gonna try, yeah. I'm gonna sneak and follow them. Nothing ever happened.
Babe,
What?
they were meant for me.
I can't have any?
You can have some, yes.
Thanks.
So, okay, so y'all are just doing your own thing and coming around down here now?
Yeah, nothing happened.
That's a damn lie. So as you all kind of come around the corner, you notice that there is more makeshift homeless-style beds and a campfire that is cold. But then off into the distance, you do see another solid metal door.
In the distance, as in right here.
Yes.
Bam. Actually, metal door, you got this one.
You don't want to run into that one?
No, you
God,
got
it moved. I'm gonna lockpick it.
I'm gonna move my ass over here.
Okay. Roll me sleight of hand.
What do I feel like it's going to go wake? I'm not gonna say that one out loud.
21.
21.
Where is the group chat?
With a 21, you do pick the door.
Alright. I'm gonna open it and wait for everyone to run in here. Quickly.
So as you all run in here,
R. Kelly peed on me.
Uh,
All I'm saying, he could have stepped out of the
That's funny because I actually just started watching the Boondocks. And that was one of the episodes, and I'm like, this
Yep.
came out in like early 2000s, and everyone knew about this back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad you got that. That's what I was referencing. R. Kelly didn't do nothing. She could have just gotten out of the way.
And spirit.
as you then turn the corner of this now no longer paved and beaten road and structured sewer, it seems like this has been hand dug and carved out. And as you then step over some winding pipes and cobwebs, You see little ballast and pieces of wood sharpened and pointed inward.
Quickly, guys, in. And then I close the door behind us.
Yeah. Well, I'm still on Igor's
Good.
head. We're on his shoulders.
Now, what the
It's not
fuck is
visible.
that?
What? I didn't see.
That's fine.
What happened?
Oh, me neither.
We like a killer with morals.
I think it is still better in here than what is going on, possibly out there.
So as you then round the corner, you didn't peer over the pipe, Duster. You see a bunch of sharpened wooden angled pieces of wood that seem to uncover the top of a giant pit with several benches down there with pads and discarded wine bottles everywhere else. It seems to have been maybe some kind of like fight pit or something.
Fight Club?
I
We'll
was
talk
just
about that
about
shit.
to.
Rule number 1.
But at the very far end, seemingly hunched over a desk, you see the silhouette of a person standing there.
I would like to observe this person and look at their hands.
Roll me
Can I
perception.
see it? Okay.
Oh,
I think my perception's alright. Yeah.
Can I also roll perception?
Yes, you may. You're trying so hard. I'm sorry.
I was almost an 18. I
I know.
actually have perception.
So, with what you saw, Midget, it seems to be the silhouette in the dim light. It's the silhouette of a woman from her weight and her gain and height. Lucy,
With my bird eyes.
with your bird eyes, you realize that it is. Oh, you've never
God.
seen the high elf, the wood elf girl. You as Lucy. you haven't.
Explain what you're seeing, Lucy.
You see a wood elf leaning onto the table, reading what seems to be a ledger with several bags of small coinage around her. And as she turns and flips through the pages, you notice that her right hand, from her elbow down, is abnormally large, as if like she's wearing a gauntlet. And
Her masturbating hand.
Shit.
masturbating hand.
My
Absolutely.
right
My
arm is
right
stronger
arm's
than
a
my
lot.
left.
And
I'm
you
so
also
glad we
do-
thought of the same thing.
You also notice that there are, seemingly out of her skin, are mushrooms growing. Of all different size, shapes, and variants, and different colors. Some that you've never even known to exist.
That's crazy. I wonder who that could be.
Can I visually use my medicine skill to diagnose the illness or whatever that mushroom is?
Sure, let's give it a go.
It's
27.
already back on me.
27. So, some of the mushrooms you realize are some of the mushrooms you realize are ones that are from your and Launder
Yeah, I had the
from
spirit and
books and
fucking-
random herb books that you scout through that are meant to be mushrooms meant to only exist, so to speak, in myths that are life expectancy mushrooms. Some of them are poison mushrooms, literally pumping poison through the veins in the area that which they're sprouting from throughout her body. Some of them are meant. Some mushrooms are meant for reproduction, and every time she shifts, some little spores kind of shut her off of
Oh
them.
my gosh, that's a boner mushroom.
Reproduction, you say?
Oh,
You horny bastards.
Wrong mushroom.
You're the one who said it.
They're very phallic looking. Anyway,
It's called
Oh,
a
the
I don't get it.
pinushroom.
stinkhorns.
It's a
They're
pinushroom.
stinkhorns.
with a very distinct head. And then some of them,
You think about this a lot?
sure. And then some of the other ones you notice are more commonplace. One is meant to. One of the mushrooms, specifically on her lower spine and on her legs, is actually similar to the poison mushroom. Uh-oh. I had a drop. Okay, there we are. Similar to the poison mushrooms, that's pumping this black ichor into her veins as it's spreading throughout, and every now and then you see it kind of pulsate and come up to the surface. Jesus Christ, what the fuck else?
Don't do it.
Do it.
At
Just
the
do it.
very least, sneak up to her and like suplex her into the pit or something. We flopped this once already.
So I take initiative here, real quick.
Y'all are
Cool. I'm gonna
fucking
step
children.
right here. I'm gonna throw one of my small hammers at her, and say housekeeping, and throw my hammer.
As you say housekeeping, she whips around as the hammer starts flying. Roll to hit.
16.
Does not hit.
Cool. I go get my hammer. Enrage.
That's awesome.
Calmly walk over there.
As you reach down to pick up your hammer, she rips off one of the mushrooms off of her body, and immediately as it detaches from her body, shifts into a mace, a long, elongated, ball-looking mace, and she rolls to hit at you before you rage.
Question, where'd she pull that mushroom off of?
Her shoulder.
You know.
Oh, you know.
Natural 20. Natural 20.
I did not reckless, by the way.
I know.
So. Okay.
Hold on. You do not get those near me, sir.
Oh.
Dude, all still rebarbs.
No, I'm serious. Sentinel at the death's door. Since he's 30 feet from me, no critical hits can happen. It's a normal hit.
Within 30?
Mm-hmm.
That's within 30.
That's fucking awesome.
Okay, so 19.
Cleric moment.
No. It's a normal hit. It's still the 20. It's not considered a critical.
Oh, okay.
It's like adamantine armor.
It's plot armor.
This is still going to hurt.
Any effects triggered by a critical hit are also canceled.
Okay, that's fine. You take 18 damage as this smashes against the side of your face. And make a con saving throw.
That's a 26.
Your con is a +8?
It's a saving throw.
Oh, okay. Well, you make. And as she reels back with the
Wait a second. That might be higher.
yeah.
What is our PB at level 7?
Yeah, you're one level higher than us.
It goes up at level 9, I think.
I'm very nervous.
Your proficiency bonus? Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, level 9. It's after ASI.
Every time I go to try to do
Yep, just a +8, so it's still 26.
so. As she pulls back from the hit and rocks the piss out of your head.
Whoever is doing that one generator over there.
I thought I lost you in Ubringer. Not Ubringer. Ulana.
They're working.
Oh,
I
she
thought I
speaks.
lost you in Ulana.
I'm just hoping
I can't let you.
This
You scared me once.
thing about us.
I can fight you now.
The thing about us is that we're like
No,
that crazy ex-girlfriend that you don't want to get rid of. or that you can't get rid of, will find you.
Nope.
And now I rage, and I become large.
And now everyone roll initiative.
I don't do that. It's not.
I do this at advantage.
Oh my god! I did not get a single digit for once.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
D20. 16.
Igor, what'd you get? 20?
21. Because I get it at advantage. I can't be.
What'd you get,
I
Hazel?
don't.
16.
Thank you.
No, it's me.
You're welcome.
15.
Duster.
26.
Lucy, what is your dexterity modifier?
0.
Thank you.
That's why I said it's 15.
Well, no,
Nope.
they matched.
Oh,
So, in turn order, it's going to be Duster, Igor, Hazel, Elf Lady,
I'm still
and
laughing.
as
I didn't get a
always,
single digit.
as always, bringing up the fucking rear for some reason.
Sorry, I was also going.
I like the rear.
Yes, you do. I like it too.
Mm.
Nice and plump.
Nice and plump.
Okay.
Wait, Hazel, you're taking up the rear?
Not me.
Oh.
Hazel rolled a 13.
Oh my god. What the
No,
fuck?
I rolled a
was
16. I have a
rolled a
plus
16.
3.
Oh, you didn't put your
Yeah,
addition
they
to it.
Didn't do your ads to it. Yeah, pull your hair, get off the dick. Let's go.
What?
What the
You're
fuck are
welcome.
you talking about?
The sounds.
What?
Anyway, Duster.
anyway.
Housekeeping.
I was hiding when I
Housekeeping.
walked in here. Am I still hidden?
You technically are still hidden.
Okay.
Grouse peeping.
I'm around here, and I'm going to sneak attack, throw dagger at her.
Alright, roll to hit. At advantage.
At disadvantage.
I will take that 23.
23 will hit.
Attack 3d6.
I'm hiding in the bush.
9.
No, just hoping for d4 plus 3. $16. 16 damage, and how high up does this thing in front of me come up? Like, can I sneak behind it?
For you, it comes about 5 feet up. It comes to about your eye level. It's just enough to keep what would ever be in there from getting out.
Okay. Then I'm going to sneak at advantage.
Okay.
After I throw the dagger, it comes back.
If there was
You're
one-
hidden.
29. My turn.
Igor.
So I'm a size larger if possible.
Yes, I'm working on it.
Okay. It would probably be there, right?
Yeah.
I will be wielding both of my hammers at this point. If not, I'll use my bonus action as turn to put the other one in my hand.
Okay.
Your call. Your call. If it takes a bonus action or not. So attack number 1. 16 gonna hit.
Nope.
An 18.
An 18 will hit.
Okay, so it's either 17 or 18. This is my first hit. I have not rolled at reckless.
Correct.
Can we just say that's the first attack?
Looks like it's at 0.
Or no?
No, we've already designated it as
Yeah.
the first and
Cool.
second.
Cool. Exactly how I would have run it too, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
No, that's fine.
So this is gonna be 2d6 plus 8.
Can you repair that pallet real quick?
I'm actually gonna do something a little bit different. So when I rage, I pick an element. Seeing how the last time went so well with fire down under Ulana, I'm gonna use fire and not cold.
Okay.
So that'll be 17 points of fire damage on my second attack.
Mhm.
Just in time.
And then do I get a third attack with my bonus action or no?
You do get a bonus attack
Okay.
with your third.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't I
Mhm.
wasn't sure how you kind of rule the whole pulling out your secondary weapon.
That would be a free action. That one hits.
Okay. This is 2d6 plus 2, unless what's the rage damage right now?
I guess pray or whatever.
I think it's just a plus 2. I don't think it turns to a plus 3 to level 9.
Well, I want the kill.
Huh? Is that
Huh?
level 4? I've been.
Run the fuck out.
Oh no. At level 9 it becomes plus 3. So yeah, plus 2.
Oh, that was stressful.
So that's 7 fire damage. Oh no, this is just 7 bludgeoning damage on this weapon,
Okay.
since it's my offhand. But all my damage ignores immunities and
Mhm.
whatnot. On the first attack,
Mhm.
it would have to make a save against the weapon mastery. I think this is a warhammer, so this is push. No, it's just pushed back 15 feet because of crusher and push. So I guess it's just pushed into the wall. Actually, this is all spiked right here, right? Like spiked stakes.
Inwards.
Oh, inwards. Damn. Okay. Then I just want to put her here.
Nola.
It'll knock her back up against
Yeah.
the wall for a moment.
Yeah, and then I just take the step forward. And that'll be my dual wielding turn.
No, I just asked what he was doing because usually if he's on in the evening, he might be playing.
Okay.
With his nephew.
Next is going to be Hazel.
And I asked. Who's
Now, last time I casted Fireball down here, it did not go so well. However, are you okay getting hit by it? Wait, I just realized I can careful spell Fireball.
I mean, I have danger sense.
Yeah, okay, then if I careful spell Fireball, then you don't. You automatically succeed and don't take any damage.
No, I would still take damage.
With careful spell?
Yeah.
You automatically succeed. But well, what does danger sense do?
Danger sense gives me advantage on dexterity saving throws.
Oh, okay. Well, you still have to roll them.
Yeah, for Fireball, even if you succeed, you take half.
Yeah.
Well,
So
yeah,
if you careful spell, I don't have to roll, right? Because I just auto succeed.
Yes, I do believe. Oh, heck. Yeah. Are you okay getting hit by a fireball?
Yeah, because he was your friend first.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen at one point. Alright. I'm just gonna careful spell fireball her.
Alright. What level?
Just level 3.
Alright. Roll damage.
Wait, or is it level 4? I don't remember. I think it's level 3. I only
Level
have level
3
4
is
spells.
base level.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
And then DC of
but-
16?
Yes. DC is 16 now. Fireball.
I don't know who else.
Fail?
It failed.
Oh, Trapper.
Holy fucking
No? Is that
shit.
only?
Wait, I should have my card. I'm looking for my card. Where is it? Misty Step,
Oni.
Sylvie
It's
Barbs.
Oni.
Where's my
He's
fucking
AFK.
fireball? I have cards for all of my stuff.
I was working on it,
But
I was
where
trying to
is
figure
it?
out if it was Oni
I
or
have
if it was
Firebolt.
Trapper.
Where's my fireball? These? Oh, here it is. 8d6. Awesome. I found it.
Wait.
Good job, me. 8d6.
My God, that's a lot of
23.
dice.
Add my charisma modifier, which is 3. So,
It would be 13 damage to
26.
Igor.
yeah. What?
You sure?
Half
Yeah.
of 26 is 13.
Half of 23.
No.
Plus
Oh,
your
wait,
charisma
26.
modifier.
I didn't hear that part. So 26 to 13.
Yeah, it's my charisma modifier because I have it's
Yeah.
because of my
I know.
subclass. Yay. And then I will use yeah, I'm just not gonna do anything else. I'll say hi Miss Mushroom Lady, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to kill you.
You may try. With that, it is her turn. Is that your turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Doo-doo-doo. She is then going to... One of her hands is going to pulse out with the black mushroom venom, pulsing through it and leak through her pores. And she's going to attempt to reach out and touch you.
Touch, bad touch, bad touch.
Yep, that's a 20. Dirty. Dirty.
Nope. 20s do
Dirty.
not do shit.
Dirty.
Okay.
Do I have... I'm not hasted, so my armor class right now is 17.
So this is going to be necrotic damage.
Help me. Help me. Oh no, wow.
You will take 10 necrotic damage and make a con save.
Run away, you crazy.
Give me a sec.
He's gonna go down.
I need to actually add up all the damage
Mm-hmm.
instead of just writing down the damage I've taken. 52. Alright. Go. You said a con?
Correct.
$22.
You succeed. It's then going to use its move. It's it's actually not going to use his move just yet. It's going to make 2 more attacks with this giant metal ball
You
at
should
you.
be good now. Oh, okay.
That will be a hit. 15 bludgeoning. And make another
Up to
con.
7.
Make a con save.
Oh no.
You're going to be making a lot of con saves.
Yeah, I kind of figured. Eventually, I'm gonna fail. Yeah, see?
That's a 13?
Yep.
That's a fail. You are now poisoned until the end of your next turn.
Condition. Okay.
And just to clarify,
Yeah, I'm pulling up the poison condition in front of me right
same.
now. Poison creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. How boring.
And she is then going to try to smack at you again. And will hit you again for 9 bludgeoning damage. And then that will be halved. She will then use her movement to disengage out of your reach.
Okay.
And that will be her turn. Lucy.
You're still up, right?
Me? Yeah. I'm at 44 HP.
Oh, okay, never mind.
41.
Okay.
I have almost 100 HP. I'm like
nice.
7, 8. My next level up, I will be 100 HP. Or triple digits.
I will. Let's see, honey.
Even if I
will
Even if
cast
I'm at a minimum roll.
Spirit Guardians. I believe. Let me see. Yeah. Spirit Guardians. So I need a 15-foot circle around me. How do I do that? How do I know what's 15?
1 second.
Oh, there you go.
Oh god, don't click into extreme.
That's 15 feet?
Yeah, my yellow is 15 feet around you.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Does that stay there?
Yeah, it moves along. It moves along with
Okay,
you.
cool. Okay. Do you need me to read it, or?
Yes, please.
Protective spirits flit around you in a 15-foot emanation from for the duration. If you are good or neutral, their spectral form appears angelic or fey, your choice. If you're evil, they appear fiendish. When you cast a spell, you can designate creatures to be unaffected by it, so obviously my teammates. Any other creature's speed is halved in the emanation, and whenever the emanation enters a creature's space, and whenever a creature enters the emanation or ends its turn there, the creature must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature takes 3d8 radiant damage if you are good or neutral. On a successful save, the creature takes half as much damage. A creature makes a save only once per turn.
So if you're good, nothing happens. If you're evil, you get damage.
No, you still get damage. You just take radiant. So if I'm good, it's radiant damage. If I'm bad, it's necrotic damage.
Okay.
And let's see, that was my regular. I'm going to move. Yeah.
Why is no one else doing
You're in there. I'm Mia. Bonus actions. Let's see. can do healing word. I can do inspiration. I'm gonna have to touch you way the fuck over there. If I can. Oh,
I gotta
what's
touch
what's
you.
my movement? My movement is 30 feet. I was originally right here.
So you
I
move
don't
10
think I can
feet.
get to you. Oh, I can. I'll move over here, and I'll lesser restoration for the poisoning on him.
Okay.
You
Mark it
can't
off.
cast 2 spells in the same turn.
Oh, wait, why?
It's a rule in D&D, unless Dunkel
It's
says
a bonus
otherwise that
action.
you can.
No,
Doesn't matter.
restoration is a primary action. Great lesser
No, it's a
restoration.
bonus action.
Lesser restoration is a bonus action.
Yeah, casting time is one
It
bonus action.
that doesn't matter. You can only cast one leveled spell per turn. Even with quicken spell, you can only cast one leveled spell.
Oh,
Spirit
okay.
That's
Guardians is
correct.
leveled.
So you're
Okay.
next to him and you're prepped for it, but he's still poisoned.
Yeah, okay. Mm, I'll just shift it.
Okay. Uh, surprise, surprise. The problem that never went away is still here. And guess what?
Oh,
And guess what? He's
Wait, what
brought
problem?
oh,
he's brought
Oh, yeah.
friends.
oh.
I
Um,
start smiling. Now this is real fight.
where to go?
As you look over from your entrance, as you hear thudding, you see three very similar statues, Hazel, all with like that demonic style face within the mortared suit of armor.
Before you continue with them, I need you to do the wisdom save for character, please. For Spirit Guardians.
For my person, okay.
That's
Beating
a
what
16.
passes.
Okay. All right. So I think you take half damage. Yes, half as much damage. So 3 die 8, and half of that.
That lady over there is the one who pissed in your in your
5
bowl.
damage.
Take a urine sample. She's the one that did it.
She's the one who did it. She did
Okay.
it.
Okay, that's it for me.
So they then appear as they are then coming towards you, Hazel.
Mm-hmm.
One
Hey,
of
guys.
one of them is brandishing what looks to be a longsword, the other one a axe, and one of them has a dagger. But that is their movement
What?
speed. That is their movement speed to at this moment. So then we will go back to the top of the initiative.
What's up with you guys?
Hello there.
Duster.
Sneak attack, throw dagger.
Alright, roll a hit. No advantage. Oh, no. Yeah, no advantage because you're hidden. And there's no one
No
next to you.
advantage.
No, advantage because you're hidden. There would be
Oh,
no
okay.
auto advantage because no one's directly next to the opponent. You hit. Natural 20.
Oh, nat 20. I'm gonna roll for more damage. So that is 3d6.
Would then be doubled to 66. $13.
26, so 4.
Then 2d4 plus whatever. Your dex.
Yeah. That is 34.
With that, this first one, as you lob your dagger, it seems to hit just the right sweet spot. As it then goes, oh! And then crumbles and drops down and to a pile of mortar and rust right in front of you.
Good news, they're bitch made. Well, I need to find somewhere they can't see me, so I'm gonna move here and sneak at advantage.
No, because you're technically within line of sight of the elf lady.
Even behind the wooden
Yes.
thing here?
It's only like
Well-
4 or 5 feet tall.
I would say he could probably still roll the die for these guys because he's not in line of sight of them.
That's what I'm waiting on.
Dude, the way that stealth would work is if you're in line of sight of enemies or any
Yeah.
type of like you're trying to hide in plain
Okay.
sight, it won't really work. And yeah, you can
Okay.
crouch behind it, but you can still, for this instance, you could see if he like hid behind a crate or a barrel and tried, I'd give it to him.
Oh. I guess I'm gonna stay here and end my turn.
You can roll for stealth, just not at advantage.
Oh, okay, that's a big difference. I would go for that. I have a +10 to stealth. Well, what about with my hood up? That should automatically give me advantage.
Do you have the displacer cloak?
It's the...
Oh, cloak of elven kind.
Yeah,
Good night. Thank you for playing.
pretty sure it's supposed to give me advantage.
I'm double checking it.
Kind.
You do have advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide. Okay, so yes, advantage.
Okay. 15,
Okay.
17, 27.
You will then hide and shift with the cloak and go and be stealth.
Alright, sounds good. That is a turn.
Igor.
Igor smash. She's actually still in range of me.
10 feet.
Yep, 10 feet.
Okay.
I'm going to do the thing and actually reckless this turn.
Neither hit.
Well, that's the first attack.
Yep.
That's a 14. That is an 18. That's the first attack to hit.
The 18 will hit.
I hear the other guys come in, and I see something. I don't see, ankle dusters, but I definitely see that Astra probably or Hazel noticed them. Right?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, it's gonna be. I'm gonna change things up a little bit. I'm going to use both strike and my Goliath trait here, so it's going to be an additional 2d6 cold damage. I need
Fire.
a...
Oh no, your Goliath is cold.
Yeah, they're both cold, but my hammer will be fire.
Okay.
So it'll be 2 fire, 2 cold, and I'll separate the two. What is this? No, it's not that one. Constitution saving throw. What do I use for my... Okay, so this is going to be... I said con, I think, originally.
Yeah.
So that's DC 18. I'm sorry, 16. DC 16.
Passes.
Okay. Then her movement speed is only reduced by 10 feet. This is the fire damage.
Mm-hmm.
This is the cold damage. And she is only moved. She is moved 15 feet again, whether I like it or not. And honestly, I'll just push her into the wall here.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna roll with my third attack. That would be a 12 plus 9. That's a 21. That's gonna hit.
Mm-hmm.
1d20, or I'm sorry, 2d6 plus 2.
That's Huntress.
That will be 8 damage of the fire
Yes, you did.
variant.
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Would you allow me to
No,
get
you
here?
said fuck that
No.
day for a troll.
Huh?
No.
So
So with your movement speed, which is what?
5, 10, 15, 20, 25,
Technically,
30,
right here, you
45.
right there, you would have to squeeze to not fall into the pit.
Then I'll just jump. Cha.
Okay, so then yeah, you would jump 10 feet,
Yeah. And then I would just go the rest of the way there.
Ugh.
and
I
then
have
be here.
45 base. I have 45 movement.
Right there is where you'd be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I could probably fit here, but she's still within range at the moment.
Quick question. You
But this
lowered
is
her
fine.
movement speed, right?
By 10. Yes.
Okay, so I halved it because of the Spirit Guardians, so it's 10 off of the half already.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. And that's it.
Oh, she wrote.
Okay. 1 second.
Because that was action, bonus action,
That's what I needed to know.
movement.
Hazel.
Alrighty, give me 1 second. So,
You know what the statue things are perfectly aligned for?
It's crazy.
Probably a fireball.
yeah, you know what? But
What about
I
fire
think
breath?
what I'm gonna try and do is use my grog ability and try to cast summon celestial.
Okay. Then we yes, level 9.
No, that's level 5.
On a
But
wet
it's
one.
a paladin. It's like mainly a paladin spell, so you know, it's meant to be roll 43
On a
minus
makeup.
3. All right, let's hope I get 5. Oh,
Nope.
Ugh.
nope. Well, is that just my action or my bonus action to use my grog ability?
To use your grog ability, that would be an action. Because you use
Okay.
it in combat, in a leveled spell instance.
That's fine.
I'm not going to bed. What the fuck?
That's fine. We'll be fine. Nothing bad ever
Oh,
comes from anything like this, ever.
No, never.
No, never.
Maybe move.
Yeah, I am thinking that
Cool.
I
I'm trying to think of where I want to move.
was concerned how long that pip was there for, as radio's gonna get back up or something.
Don't worry.
I don't see that either.
I can't quicken spell or anything.
Really?
I'm gonna stand behind Igor. Igor would never let me get hurt.
And this is definitely a good idea. Let's comp up, guys. I like
Yeah, let's
I
comp
like
up.
the way you guys are thinking.
Yeah. Actually, I'll quicken spell Firebolt.
As a bonus?
I'm going
Yeah,
to
bonus
save.
action.
Okay.
And since
Oh
it's
my
not a
God.
leveled spell, that's
I'm
fine.
going in a straight line. They still missed.
6.
Does not hit.
Does a 14 hit? Oh, okay. I ain't doing nothing. That's the end of my turn.
At the end of your turn, you'll see Elf Lady smash one of her mushrooms deeper into your skin, and it will surge throughout her veins, this like greenish yellow type venom.
We were hurt 13 threes and one.
Damn.
It is now her turn, and oh, so wonderful. Oh, so wonderful for everyone.
No.
Yeah. So,
Oh, jeez.
the way that's gonna work, everyone make a DC con save.
Oh, 21.
Okay, let's
I
wait.
went to go for a save. I'm sorry. Damn.
Okay. Not you,
Hold on,
Lucy.
hold
Not
on.
you, not you.
Oh, okay.
Just those three. I'm sorry. Congratulations, Duster. You passed.
Yes.
Bad damage. Bad news. I gotta roll damage. And this is magical damage. It is necrotic.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool, Duncan, if you had a little camera pointed down at a little box so you can roll dice in stream so that people in the stream can see it.
Camera, dice camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I asked if I should get a second camera just for that. And everyone's like, nah, it's not unnecessary.
Or use use a dice tower, the ones where you drop it in and it falls and rolls. Those are cool.
They're so bad. They're so unlucky. At least for me.
Okay, so Hazel and Igor take 42 necrotic damage.
Holy shit.
Oh.
Midget will take 20. Midget will take 21 necrotic damage.
Can I see her from where I'm at?
Between everyone else, it's kind of like a half cover between everything else. Between Igor and the ramparts.
But I can I can still see part of her.
Yes, you could technically still see part of her.
No, I mean, like, it's only
Okay,
one
I can uncanny dodge that.
and I opened it. And
Okay,
took the
so
one
you would
down
take half of
and-
21, which would be...
So that'd be 11. Rounded up.
So you would take 11 necrotic. Igor and Hazel, you are both blinded.
No, I'm not. I'm down.
Oh,
You put me into -1.
okay. Hazel, you still up?
Come on.
Hazel?
Sorry, I was coughing. I
Wow, but you got the most
I am
points.
still up. I have 4 HP.
Huh.
Get fucking wrecked.
Wonderful.
But you were blind.
Wonderful. So even within all the movement speed reduction, she can still come up to you, Lucy.
You can move 20 feet?
Yes.
Still?
Yes.
Fucking how?
A
That
lot
means
of
she
movement
has
speed.
60 movement speed
Uh-huh.
at a minimum.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Shit's not fun.
I love you.
Okay.
I will see you tomorrow.
she's going to take her giant metal ball and swing at you. That's going to hit and do...
You didn't even ask what my AC was, you ass.
No, there's no reason. She's going to do 12 damage for the first hit. That's going to hit again.
Damn.
And then 9 bludgeoning for the second hit.
Okay.
And that will be the end of her turn.
Awesome. She takes 3d8 of damage for ending her turn in the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Unless she, I don't think she has to do another saving throw. Yeah, you still got to do another wisdom saving throw, or you take so you don't take full or half damage. 16.
Wisdom saving throw of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Fails, but legendary resistance, I pass.
Okay, so take 7 damage.
Okay.
Hey, my turn. Right. I'm going to cast Spare the Dying.
To cast.
So he becomes stable. And then I'm gonna do Cure Wounds at level 3. Oh, you have to touch him. If they're not Cure Wounds.
Would be a healing word if you have it.
I do.
Healing word's just a distance.
Yeah, but it's 6d4.
I mean, it's something. It's more than 0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. That's the best I could do. Healing Word. Level 3.
How much am I gaining here?
Well, 6 times 4 is 24 plus 4, so 29 health. Because you get max.
Yep. You could have probably saved your action and not spared a dying if you're gonna just auto.
No, you have to be at 0.
I was already at 0.
I thought you weren't at 0. You're at -1.
Yeah, but at the end of
Well,
my,
it doesn't-
it doesn't
it
stack.
doesn't
It
work
stayed.
like that.
Yeah, it goes back to 0 as soon as the damage is done.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
not like
confusing.
the negative number adds up to.
Yeah, it's only in cases like when you get over.
No, I know
killed
that.
to your
So
maximum.
if you're not
Yeah.
stable, then if I were to heal you, you'd only become stable. And
No,
Now you're-
no.
I
So
think
if you were to
now you're
heal
up
me,
to it.
I would heal from 0 to the max damage or the max healing that you can do.
But you wouldn't be up yet. You'd have to take a turn to get up, is what he's saying.
I would have to stand. No, because I would already be up, right? So I'm.
so what's the
up
point
at
of Circle of Mortality, like where I have the Spare the Dying cantrip for free, if that's not what you need to heal someone with if they're already dead?
Because what
or
happens
dying?
if you're out of
spell slots.
spell slots?
Yeah.
Spare the Dying is to put somebody on a stable condition until you can get those spell slots or some form of healing to them.
That's confusing. I thought I had to do that to get you to 0 so you don't have to roll the dying thingies.
No.
Because I was told that if you're rolling because you're dying, if I heal you, you just go to 1.
No,
I've never heard of that, but
that might be a DM specific thing, but no, not typically.
yeah. At least from games I've played and playing Baldur's Gate, that is not the way that it has worked.
You are healed the full amount.
Yeah, well, I don't really have a bonus action shit anyway, so.
That is true.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I could technically have attacked with a weapon, because I have 2-weapon fighting.
Damage is damage.
Damage is damage.
I mean, that's it for me. You can take the X off of you.
Okay. Well, after Lucy. You've got friends.
Oh. I don't like friends. Not these, at least. They're mean. They act like I pissed in a bowl or something.
$17 AC.
Me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm prone.
Got advantage.
May I make an argument? It wasn't me that pissed in your bowl. It was that one that I point at. That I
I'm
point
hidden.
at.
You're pointing at a wall, I'm hidden.
I'm pointing at the wall. He's over there. Go get him. It's not gonna work.
They both hit.
Oh.
Yeah, at least they're not attacking at somebody at 0 HP.
They're just fucking racist.
Yeah, fucking
They just want
racist.
they just want an excuse to hit somebody because they look different.
Yeah, just because I'm blue.
They're
That's
mad
odd.
because I piss
Blue,
different.
double B.
With both of them attacking and swinging at you, you will take by the stone longsword and the stone axe that they have. You will be taking 13 damage.
Total.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I don't know if I want to know.
What does what mean?
Can we say that in Twitch?
I don't think we can say no, none of us can say that. Yeah, I think none of us can say that.
What?
I don't know who is allowed to say that.
Who's allowed to say
I don't.
We're not allowed to say it. We can't tell you.
The Navi?
Okay.
I get it. I get it. Well, that reminds me of Duffy.
Shut up. I don't even want to fucking hear it right now.
Duncan's just confused.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the inside jokes.
You don't want to know it.
That's our word. You can use the other one.
I'm not signed up for this shit. Hold on, let me get a smoke.
Oh no. Oh no.
I guess I'll screenshot it for you there, Dunkel, so you can see what's happening in the chat.
Okay.
I don't know. What do you, baby?
I can't see anything from my phone right now, but we're continuing on. Duster, it's your turn.
I'm going to sneak attack the guy to my just next to me here.
Oh my god, Waz, you horrible, horrible person.
No.
Why the fuck would you do that?
Yes.
Fuck
No,
Let
I don't know if you
the
can say that. I don't know if you can say that.
I think we know that you can't.
But I can roll for the risk roll. Okay. Okay. You're attacking the statue right there?
Yeah. Sneak attack, just regular. Hit him with a dagger.
May your book pages be sticky and stuck together.
They already are. Joke's on you.
21.
21. It hits.
3d6 for sneak attack. 14. What is that, a d4 plus 6? Yes. Oh no, it's plus 3. Not bad.
20 damage. This does chip away at the stone structure for what it is and leaves giant cracks, but it is still up.
I can't really move without an opportunity attack. Disengage won't really get me anywhere I want to be, so I will pass turn.
Oh, I'm alive again.
Oh, I'm hurt.
I'm fine. I'll be fine once I start raging. It is my turn, yes?
Yes, it is your turn.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm not skipping something. Cool. Alrighty. I just start raging again. So that's my bonus action. I think action is attack. And I will be standing up. So this is first attack. Does the 38 hit? Does
For
the 20,
those?
24. So this is going against the first guy, and this is just going to be base attack, so 1d20 or 1d2d6. I'm still going to go with the typical fire damage that I was doing before, because why not? Plus
Get that cone out of my face.
No.
6. Don't ignore that. That was wrong. I don't know what the fuck that is.
No.
That's not even the right bonuses. It's a +8, not a +6. I still get the plus. I still get the 1. That's fine. So it's fair.
So on
fair.
which one? The bottom one or the top one?
Pick your poison.
Bottom one. It'll be enough to kill it.
Cool. Second one is gonna get its butt whooped. +9. Does a 17 hit?
Yes.
All right. 2d. So 2d6 plus 8. That'll be 17 damage on the second one.
17 damage will knock off nice chunks of its mortar armor and mortar pieces, but it is still up.
I, as a free action, will get down in its face and just roar. Let me see your war
Roar.
scream. You know,
Do the roar.
It stares
it's the cutest kitten noise you ever seen.
It stares at you with cold dead sockets.
Rawr.
You for sure can't say that.
Do the
Let's
war.
fuck with TOS today. Do the war.
Really. Do the roar.
Lizard.
Holy money.
I don't like
Alrighty.
I don't like that.
Holy money.
I'm clicking out of those messages. I don't want that staring at me on my other monitor.
That's so
Holy
cute.
money.
So that's it for you, Igor?
Yeah, that's it.
Hazel,
Bonus
you're up.
action reached.
Give me a sec. Alright. You're never gonna guess what I'm gonna try and do.
Fireball.
No. I'm gonna use my other half of my Grog ability and try and cast Summon Celestial again.
Alright.
You would really want to hope that I don't summon the Celestial.
Let's see the roll. And it's
Hey,
a 5.
it summons! Yay!
Tell me what happens.
Wait. Well, okay. I want to get a defender. let's see. So basically, a large celestial spirit will summon in within 90 feet of me. So it'll just be right in front of the lady. Yeah. It is large. Its AC is 13. It's got 48 hit points. And it shares my initiative.
Okay.
But it takes its turn immediately after mine. So I'm going to use its let me look at its attack to hit. Okay, it should be +8 to hit. And it has multi-attack. So do you want me to roll each of them individually?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Here's the my beer back.
14 hit? No. Okay.
No.
Okay, lovely. I love that I roll single digits. Okay. And there we go. Yeah, that's it. That's it for my turn and its turn.
All right. It is now Elf Lady's turn. Because of the bad risk roll, that was not a natural 20, but indeed was a 19. She is going to cast again from her fingertips a giant cone. No. In 20 degrees, and it will hit all of you. So I need Hazel, Duster, and Lucy to make a con save.
Oh, 22.
When it fucking matters. Okay? Shit, fuck. Are you back, Piglet? Ah.
I am back. Sorry about that.
Oh,
What
good.
did I miss?
Roll me a con save.
What's going on?
Because of the risk roll that happened,
Get coned.
get coned by spores. Roll me a con save.
Just me?
Oh no, it's half the party.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm like, how did it get me then if it got everybody else?
I'm not a part of that. I'm
failed
fighting a
that conqueror.
golem.
Again, midget fails.
What?
I mean, midget passes. Whoops.
Kind of crazy shit is this bitch doing if 22 fails?
Fuck, there goes a die. Spin around. All right. Each of you take 38 necrotic damage, and 38 necrotic damage halved to 19 to half of 19 to midget, and both Hazel and Lucy have disadvantage on con saves until their next turns.
Did the half damage you do, is that counting uncanny dodge, or is that just because I passed?
That's because you passed. That's not counting uncanny dodge. So half of 19.
10.
Yeah, 10. Necrotic.
Misa am dead.
Dead?
Again?
No, not dead. Just
Okay.
down. I don't have that low of HP. Sheesh.
Yummy.
Lucy, how you looking?
I'm at 4.
So that's one of its attacks.
I don't like that.
Yeah. It's gonna then.
It's multi-attack.
Yeah. It's
Like,
gonna
you
then,
know, most boss enemies.
it's gonna take its first attack with its big metal sphere ball right on the back of your head, Lucy. What's your AC?
15.
Okay, the first one misses.
Thank God.
Second one.
I can't lose Lucy.
The second
I
one's
think we
gonna
lost
hit.
that.
Second one's
Hazel.
gonna hit.
Oh.
12 bludgeoning.
All right, I'm down.
So, wait. We have 2 people down.
Correct.
You have healing potions, right?
I don't.
Shit.
Can't we get him up with 1 HP if I just run up to him, or no?
No.
You can stabilize them with a medicine check, but you need the healer's kit to do that, I believe. Or healer's kit's auto-saved.
Oh.
Yes, midget is in fact Duster. That's my mess up.
Have you been calling
So-
me midget this whole time in here?
No,
Yeah.
back and forth. So with that,
You're just midget duster.
she can't. Wait. Since you go down, does your celestial stay up?
Yes, it stays up.
My circle goes away.
I think I'm technically not in control of it, but it would do nothing other than, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
I
it would
had
just
to-
attack.
It's its own thing. I just have to make sure. So with that, Lucy,
Mm-hmm.
roll privately. Roll a d20, and then DM me the result.
Does that mean?
That means he's not doing a public death save roll. He's doing it.
I get that, but like, why?
so that you guys don't know if he's good or not.
Fucking wild. I can't even help him. I'd have to get over to him and pick his pockets for. Pretty sure he should have health potions on him.
Well, does that celestial have the ability to heal?
Yes, it does.
Amazing.
It also, if it hits, it can give temporary hit points
All right.
every
Thank you,
time it
Piglet.
hits.
But temporary hit points don't bring somebody
I know
up.
it will stabilize you, but also if it hits, I really wish I didn't get 5. If I got 6, or then it could attack 3 times a turn.
All right. Thank you, Lucy. It's now the statue's turn. It's going to hit at Igor with its axe. Did you reckless?
Yeah.
It misses both of its attacks.
Sick.
What a
Ew.
bozo.
Duster.
What a fucking bozo.
What are you gonna do?
We need to finish
Don't
off
do
what's in
that.
front of us. Don't focus on them.
Okay.
No!
You mean no?
I ran out of space for recording.
Ah.
That's what I get for installing Warframe.
Don't blame
Mm-mm.
That is
Warframe.
what you get for installing Warframe. What the fuck?
Don't blame Warframe. Warframe is good. Eat
Well-
shit talk Warframe, you will die here.
No, I play it with Midget. I play it with Midget.
I guess I'm... Igor, have you hit that statue at all or no?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm just gonna throw dagger at it. No sneak attack, I'm not hiding or anything, so it's just gonna be a d4 plus 3.
You get the advantage, or you don't get advantage, but you get what's it called for free?
I get what's it called for free?
Sneak attack, because I'm standing next to it.
I can still sneak attack from here?
Because you have a party
Yes.
member adjacent to the target. Yes.
Okay.
So you don't get advantage, but you get the sneak attack bonus. So roll to hit.
20 plus 6.
It
18.
hits. It hits.
This is thrown dagger.
6. And your sneak attack.
6. That was a bad click, ignore that one. I'm gonna
Okay.
take the 6. 3d6. 13.
With your last dagger throw, you throw it and you hit it in the side of the head and it sinks into the soft stone. Then again, crumbling this mortar in front of Igor.
Yes!
Yes.
I'm gonna stand behind Igor and hide with advantage.
Okay. Roll.
Must I roll advantage?
No.
30.
You're hidden.
That is turn.
Alright. Hazel. Privately roll and send
Hi.
me. Privately roll.
You're
and
skipping
send
me?
it. Oh, Igor, I'm sorry. I was dumb.
Yeah.
Igor, go ahead.
I was like, what the fuck are you about to do to me?
I was.
Why you say it like that?
Yeah, well, he's the one making it weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
right?
Like, well, fucking Ankle Duster is saying it like I'm the problem.
You are the problem, you shit talking Warframe. Also, I just looked at Twitch chat. Waz, are you shit talking Warframe as well?
Yeah, she is. Uninstall that immediately, she says.
Alright. I will throw my hammer. Within 20 feet of me, right?
I turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I can reckless attack a thrown up weapon.
No.
You can throw aside. Oh man, I saw throw. Third word in, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, nope.
Fourth word in. Oh man.
You make your first attack roll. You can decide to attack. Gives you attack roll advantage on attack rolls using strength. But attack rolls against me. So with 2024, yes.
Really?
Because it said, yeah, because the way it's worded is if you're making the roll using your strength modifier.
And throwing uses your strength modifier.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to clip it for you?
Nope.
Flip it!
Clip it. Real good.
Flip it good.
That just feels dirty.
It does.
Well, sometimes it's okay to be a little bit dirty, you know? Don't feel bad about it.
Oh, that's fucked. What is this? A +9. First attack is going to be a 19 against her. That's gonna hit. So this is fire damage. So this is going to be 2d6 plus 8. I'm also going to add 2 more. I'm going to add my Frost Giant or my Frost Chill thing and then Strike of the Giants thing. So that's going to be an additional 2d 6 cold damage. She has to make a con save, DC 16. Big bad. This is a bad DC to fail.
Legendary resistance.
Cool. So her movement speed is only reduced by 10.
That
But
does
she'll be
not matter.
taking this on the first attack. She'll be taking 16 fire damage.
Okay.
Nice. 11. No. Yeah, 11 cold damage.
Okay.
And that's the first attack. Second attack. That's a 2d20 plus 9. That's
Yes.
gonna hit. That's a 26. So that'll be just the fire damage this time around. That'll be nice. 17 fire damage.
No piglet. I would write it fresh. I would write it fresh at the beginning of Sunday and Monday session.
And then my
That's
third
fine.
attack is going to be
No.
my third attack will be my offhand. I'll throw that one, but that one does not come back to my hand. So it's going to lay at her feet.
Okay.
But here it goes nonetheless. That will be a 21 to hit.
Correct.
And this will be bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
9 bludgeoning damage to her. So that's my action bonus and bonus actions.
Okay.
And you said it's free action to start wielding something.
Correct.
I'll whip out one of my hand axes.
All right.
Got
And there we
concerned there. I
are.
was about to say, he's whipping his cock out.
He's pulling his cock out.
It's
pulling his
oddly
cock out.
purple.
Pull the lever, Grunk.
So that's your turn. No movement.
I can't really move. I can't get over there because there's an object sitting right here, and there's an object sitting right here.
Teammates are considered.
I am not an object.
Technically, teammates are considered
could-
normal terrain.
Yeah, but I can't stand. I can't be here at the end of my turn.
Correct.
I can't be here at the start of my turn or at the end of my turn. Can't be here. I would have to be like here, but I can't because of the celestial.
Mm-hmm.
I could maybe finagle my way here if you would allow that.
That's pushing it.
Yeah. When I was here, right? Or was I
Correct.
here?
You were right there. Nope, you were right there.
How deep is the pit?
Easily a 20-foot drop.
I'm not even looking at the pit. I'm looking over it, just throwing things at her.
What?
Get over here. Actually,
no.
you know what? I will move, and I will step over here.
The Amazon list of shame. Oh no! Don't mention it.
I'm trying not to get hit by another cone. She's done 2 of them so far.
Mm-hmm.
That is Goliath. That is definitely Igor right now.
Mm-hmm. So that's your turn?
Yep. It's my turn.
Hazel, privately roll me a death roll.
Ah.
Can I cast guidance?
No. This isn't Sunday's group. Absolutely not.
You think you're casting guidance?
Okay.
You just give Hazel a round of applause.
Where is... There you are. There you go.
Thank you.
And I would say that what would you say my celestial would do? I feel like it probably doesn't want me to die.
You control the celestial.
Okay, you're still allowing me to control it.
Mm-hmm.
And can you move it next to me? Obviously, without provoking an attack of opportunity.
Does it float? Is it a floating specter or is it on the ground?
It does fly. Yeah, it's flying.
Okay. So, boo.
And then I'm actually gonna have it. Okay, so do you think I'm gonna have it heal Lucy?
Okay.
And then I have a question about how multi-attack works.
Okay.
If I use one of its actions to heal, do I get? If it has multiple attacks, do I also get an attack?
No.
No, multi-attack
Okay.
is just
I don't know.
for
I don't know.
offensive.
I don't know how creatures work. You will get healed.
What? Oh, wait, hold the fuck up. Hold the fuck up. Piglet, what the fuck did you just buy? No.
Nadine?
What the fuck did you just buy? Fuck.
And then
Willy
get healed.
Beard
You
Charms for 1 week
you
for
get
$50.
healed
No.
14.
God.
Lucy, you're healed 14.
Tax returns well spent.
You're gonna hate it when I start getting paid. I got a job now.
I know you got a job.
Lucy,
So you're gonna heal for 8. You're gonna heal Lucy for 8.
14. Because my
Alright.
spell casting mod too.
Fuck.
Awesome.
Now for like the next like week, I'm gonna be like, what the fuck is in the what's in the goddamn box?
What do you mean the next week? You're getting it tomorrow, bitch.
Oh god. Oh, that means I gotta wear.
Don't
it for
worry,
at least
Duncan. I
4
get paid on the
months.
6th. There'll be something else coming up.
No. Oh, I can imagine the fucking maid outfits already.
No, you wish it was the maid outfit.
Is it the?
Oh yeah, you wish.
Is
Where
it
do I
the-
see this Amazon list?
It's on my Twitch. Is it the big fucking double G cup bust?
Okay, I was not gonna spend $80 on that now.
Might be $80 well spent.
Fucking big old chest harness for double G cups. Good lord.
Youters.
That would be funny though. Not for me. I would hate.
I'd
oh
laugh.
my god. Yeah, all you see is big old fake tits on the fucking stream. Good lord. I forgot what the fuck we were doing. I know Lucy's
How the
back
fuck
up.
do you
Lucy
forget
has,
what we're doing?
Lucy has 13 health. Because of the Celestial.
14.
14.
You're a liar.
Oh, I found the list.
You're a liar and a hack.
Yes. So at that point, your turn is done. Because the Celestial is done. It is now Elf Ladies.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna hit me right as I got back up.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's going to reach out with one of its hands and try to slap you with its black ichor-coated hand.
I almost instinctively said something.
Yeah,
Let's
It hits. For 16.
I mean, obviously I'm down.
Yeah. It's then
16.
going to turn its attack to the Celestial, and the Celestial is 13 AC.
Yep.
Thank you.
I believe. Wait. It is 11 plus. Oh wait, no. My bad. It has 18.
Thank you. Well, the first attack was a critical failure, so
And she has to roll, right?
Yep.
Otherwise,
I just rolled.
nice.
Wait, what do I have to roll?
No, you
Not
don't.
you.
I do. The black ichor is going to stay on her hand as she flings it. It's going to fling onto her chest and body, and she's going to take 1 damage
Damn, dude.
from it stinging onto her skin.
Oh God.
It's then
Keep
going
it to yourself.
Yep. Now one more time.
You have
against
no
the
idea what you're
celestial.
saying. Yep, too.
That will hit. It will take 17 bludgeoning damage. And must make a DC con
It.
save.
It.
Wait, kid doesn't have immunity to poison.
No.
Okay.
Needs to make a con save, yeah?
Correct.
Okie dokie. Let's see.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Why am I rolling so bad? 13.
It fails. It is poisoned. It has disadvantage on all attacks. And ability checks.
Technically, you failed. You just don't know it yet.
With that, it will... It has 10 feet of movement. Or 10 reach. So it's gonna... It will take an attack of opportunity from the Celestial, so roll to hit.
Okie dokie. Roll to hit. Let's see. Your spell attack mod. And
Does
I
not
roll shit.
And it's going to move with its movement speed, unrestricted now, all the way over here. With that, it will be Lucy's turn. Your death saves are reset. Please, again, privately roll and tell me the answer.
If he has to wear that on stream, doesn't he have to have a pool in the camera?
No.
No, it's a hot tub. The hot tub.
It's the hot tub.
Whatever.
And there has to be a whiteboard on the opposite side of the camera, so that way when he gets up, he has to write on it how many subs he gets.
So I have to, like, lean over and write on the fucking whiteboard.
You guys didn't say what it was, right?
No, I don't know
I know.
what it is.
Good. Hush it.
I'm waiting on your...
Oh, mine? Okay,
yes,
sorry.
your private,
My wife was
your private
was
death
telling my
roll.
wife.
Your private death roll.
Oh, she ran up to me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've been looking at the Amazon cart. What happened to the healing roll?
Okay, thank you.
Ooh.
Duster, it's now your turn.
He's lying.
Can she opportunity attack if I'm hidden?
At disadvantage,
Yes.
yes.
Or you could
Yes.
make your
Oh.
attack and then disengage.
Disengage. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna sneak attack.
Yeah, get her.
Plus
How's she
6.
looking?
Yeah, that's a good question.
She looks a little ragged, but she's still up and going without much issue. No.
Oh, good thing that's at advantage.
There we go. She's cut, she's bruised, she's hurt, but it doesn't
That's
seem like
more
by
hurt.
much.
I don't like that.
No.
And
Okay.
16.
Thank you.
Disengage. Can I squeeze faster this way?
Disengage is only a shift of one square away from attack zone.
Oh.
Disengage is a full movement.
It is a full movement.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought it was.
I keep thinking 3.5 rules. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna start moving this way. And that'll be my turn. I don't have anything.
Or how much movement you have left, but yeah.
Okay, Igor.
You'll never guess what I'm about to do.
Reckless.
I'm gonna step here. Yeah, I'm gonna attack first before I move. Where am I typing?
Yeah, I'm gonna hope you have healing potions on your
Hell
person.
Moo from the skies.
21.
Yes, 21 hits.
I'm gonna hold off on the chill shit right now. So that will be 15 slashing damage, or slashing fire damage. So second attack. I'm hoping for a crit here, boys and girls. This is a +9.
Nope, but it will hit.
No crit. All right, I'm gonna add it here. So that'll be. No, I'll add it onto my offhand attack, just in case. So that'll be 2d6 plus 8. The duality. It's 15 total fire damage, and then third attack is 2d20 plus 9. Not a crit, but I'm going to be adding the cold damage on top of this.
Okay.
Plus 2. This is the fire damage. This is the cold damage. So 8 fire, 5 cold. So 13 total there. She needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
Natural 20 passes.
Okay. Her movement speed is reduced by 10.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'll use the Vex property this time. With the Vex property, whenever I hit a target with a Vex weapon, which is the axe that I'm currently using, I gain advantage on my next attack again, a roll against that same target.
Okay.
So my next attack roll will be at advantage. Whatever, I don't care. I just didn't want to push her away with push. But she will get pressured back 5 feet into the wall, I guess.
Which way?
So here. And then I'm gonna step here to make sure she don't run away. Yeah,
Get that cone out of my face.
Nope.
I'll step here to make sure she doesn't run away.
Okay. Legendary action at the end of your turn. She's going to have a bunch of little fungi come out of her fingertips, and she's going to fling them over at Duster and the Celestial. Make me con saves.
Come on, 20 something.
Yeah.
How much HP does your Celestial have?
15.
Left 22.
Okay.
So give me
That's,
on the second. Sorry. I'm here.
okay.
23.
The Celestial saves. Duster does not.
No. What's coming at me?
A bunch of spores.
Whatever it does, I'm ready to divide it by 2. As long as it doesn't hit me for 48.
It will hit
Or
for
more.
it will hit for 40.
Oh.
It will hit for 40. Half of that for the Celestial is 20.
Yeah.
That will take 20. I am at 4 HP.
And you are also blind.
Fuck. For how long?
Until the end of your next turn.
Only
That's
because he
cool.
failed, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so Celestial's not blind.
Correct.
Yeah.
So can I just not move at all, or can I? Do I like?
You're blinded. You just can't see and automatically fails ability checks that require sight. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage. The creature's attack rolls have disadvantage.
Cool.
Okay. Hazel.
Alrighty.
Private roll, please.
Well. Oh, here's the roll. Give me a sec.
Hello, Gladys. It's been a hot minute. You never responded back to me.
There you go. And my Celestial is gonna go attack the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Check. Okay. Yeah.
That'll hit.
21. That one will hit. Okay. Sorry. Do 1d10 plus 3. Okay. 1d10 plus 3 plus the spell's level. 16 radiant damage.
Is it a 10 foot or is it a line?
No, I said it's going to go up to and attack it.
Oh.
It doesn't have a range attack. It's defender form.
Oh, so it has to go up to touch?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Igor, you get 5 temporary hit points. And then
Wouldn't that have like
second
woken
attack,
me up?
to get you, it won't work if you're down.
Okay.
As a 21 hit.
21 hits.
Okie dokie. D10 plus 8. 13 damage. And it'll give 9 temporary hit points to Ankle Duster.
Yes.
And then that's all it can do.
I mean, if it has healing word, technically that's a
But
bonus
you know, it
action.
doesn't. It doesn't have
Damn.
healing word. It has healing touch. It can do it once a day.
Okay, so it's out of healing.
Yes, that's why I didn't heal anymore.
I would do that Gladex if all of right here wasn't super bad and thinning. I tried and it just came in patchy and thinny.
You're okay.
I'm wondering if the Celestial would have been smart enough to probably heal after. I don't know. Probably not.
I mean, it literally just as long as I'm down, it's just gonna make the most basic choices.
And that's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's just what I said.
It has how much HP?
Currently it has 2 HP left.
Cool. Elf Lady is going to hold her hand up. Yes, that is 2 unconscious players. She's going to hold her hand up and push out a jet stream of green gas from out of the pores of her hand. Roll me a con save.
Me? Wait, who?
The Celestial.
Not you.
Am I in the line of fire of that?
No. The-
19.
Okay, so you'll take half. And I rolled a 5, half is 3, rounded down is 2.
Yep. Is now dead. No more. No more Celestial.
And with that, it is going to disengage from Igor and come over here to Duster.
Shit.
And she's going to do her multi-attack with her giant hammer, her giant ball, hammer ball. It has advantage on you. So that's the first hit.
That hits.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Got an AC of 14. These are likely gonna hit.
The first attack is 20 bludgeoning damage.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm down. I can't uncanny dodge that if I'm blind, and even if I could, that sends me. -7.
She's not even bloodied.
Oh no, she's bloodied.
Okay. I'm like
Wait,
sitting here like,
did
oh
you take into
god.
account your temporary hit points?
Yes, that is
9
including the
points?
temporary hit points. I am -7.
Damn.
And she's going to, since you're already down and she's already there, she's going to hit you again. You're not taking damage, but you are taking an automatic fail on a death save.
Oh.
And that will be her turn. Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see it. In private.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up to you, Igor.
Yeah, I have tempted to bail out on you guys.
Don't you fucking do it.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
One
I already
good
wrote.
cut could end us all.
No, that's not right.
Okay. No, you're right. I was counting. Okay. You are correct. I am incorrect. Okay. Duster. Pray to fuck you don't roll a natural 1. Privately roll me.
Oh. just DM it to you.
Yeah, just DM to me. Okay, thank you. Igor.
Natural 20. Natural 20.
At the end of your turn,
Oh.
Duster, she's going to then jam another spore deeper into her veins. And this time, it's going to glow red and yellow, flashing.
Someone tell this Super Mario bitch. She needs to calm the fuck down.
I'm not wasting that 20.
Okay, no, you have the 20. You have the 20.
Cool. 46 plus 8. That'll be the first fire damage. That'll be 20 fire damage. The second attack. I'm also going to be tacking on the another. I have 3 of them, so this will be my last Strike of the Giants and Frost Chill. I need a DC 16 con save.
Critical failure.
All right. She has no movement. This is going to be the cold damage. This is 4d6. That is 13 cold damage on my first attack.
Okay.
That's total.
After this hit, you hit. She takes the hit with her gauntlet as she pulls it up, and as this happens, you hear an audible crack as the gauntlet is then showing about a 4-inch crack from the base of its elbow down the centerpiece. She's going to then look at the gauntlet, look at you, reach behind her back, and as her last legendary action, pulls out a black and green mushroom. And she's going to throw it down on the ground and envelop herself in a giant... And envelop this...
Legendary actions at the end of my turn.
Not for this one. Not for this one specifically. We'll just do... So all of the entire room becomes enveloped in a black spore cloud. Just so you can know. And as this happens, you hear her say, "I've been told not to die, and I can't." And this one, as you hear her kind of fall against the wooden spikes next to her, and you hear a thud down in the pit below her. As she then lands with a thud and a moan and a groan, and drags herself away. You have technically defeated her. Congratulations, the fight is over. But she purposely is told to escape.
I'd jump after her.
Yeah, don't let her leave.
As you jump into the pit, and you realize with the blood drag marks going down, she has crawled inside of a very small hole carved out into the rock.
I look back up. Can I make that jump?
That's 20 feet. You could jump up. Jump up and cling to the sides.
Yeah, I guess I'll just do that. Cling to the side and pull myself up.
Mm-hmm.
And I will have this at advantage because I'm still raging.
Correct.
And this is athletics. So that will be a 23 to pull myself back up.
You got it.
Cool. I guess that's my action. That would be my action. So then it goes to the next people. Or saves.
Yeah.
Because I ain't got shit for you guys. I'm sorry.
No one has health potions?
Lucy
No.
might.
Nope. I do not. I mean, I have 2 random potions. We don't know what the fuck they are, though.
What happened to those potions we grabbed out of the dungeon? I thought
There are
Lucy grabbed
2
those.
random potions.
I thought it was worded
Random.
that they were healing potions.
No, I have it on my list as random potions.
Damn.
Random guy. Who the fuck is
Okay.
random guy?
Do we take that chance?
This is what's gonna happen.
I just feed those potions to Lucy.
Both.
That's
Just
really
the first one
funny.
at a time. I'll do the first one first.
Shit.
See if it
Fucking
brings
kills
him up.
them.
Huh?
Shit. One moment.
He fucking bleeds out in the tunnel.
I will also say I'm no longer raging.
Correct.
Can't believe you suddenly not angry. That's crazy.
Well, once I got back up, I was like, okay, well, I can't focus on anger right now. I need to focus in on trying to not be the only surviving person of FANFO again. Still,
Yeah, if this doesn't go right, Igor's just gonna have survivor's guilt.
again,
This
literally
will be-
everybody keeps dying around him.
It's 13 freezing. Why are you just gonna lay next to us and just die?
Alright, this is how it's rolling. It's a D10. 2 of them, 3 of them actually, 1, 2, 3, are healing. The others are not.
I roll?
I will roll. Actually, no, you know what?
Ah.
You fucking roll. And I'm not going to tell
Wait.
you which is what.
Wait,
1d10, right?
1d10.
You said 10?
1d10.
Shouldn't I roll? I'm the one drinking it.
No, you're being
Sure.
forced. You're being force fed it.
I'm fine with him rolling if he wants to roll.
Some of these are poison, so if it lands on one of
Oh,
those,
nice.
you kill him.
Do it.
I mean,
roll.
this is our only chance of
Roll.
saving the
Yeah.
party, besides myself.
Well,
So
there's
it's not
2,
like-
so I mean, one could kill Lucy and one could pick one of us up. That would still suck.
Well, what
I
if
hope it
Lucy?
revives
If
him.
Lucy gets up, you guys are safe.
Yeah.
I'm saved.
An 8.
He's got a frown.
You know, he's debating if he wants to go through with what he said
No,
because it's
no,
a bad
no.
roll.
Nah, he keeps his word.
Better.
I don't know what's happening, but I can't tell if it's good or bad.
As you pour the first one down his throat, as you pour the first one down his throat, immediately he starts to froth and convulse and reject it as it then turns into a black ichor and black bubbles around his mouth.
I turn him on his side, stick my finger down his throat to make him puke.
Good job. You got one more potion.
I do the same thing.
Wouldn't that be a medicine check?
No, Igor knows if someone eats cow shit on the farm, puke them. Anyway.
Okay, how about
Damn,
I
Lucy
fail
almost
a death
turned into
saving throw
Jimi
because of it.
Hendrix.
Yeah, really. I'm gonna give it to him on this one. Roll a d10.
A 5.
If this works out, it would be crazy.
If this
it
doesn't work, I'm going to perception check for grog and then shove the grog down someone's throat.
If this doesn't work out, that's how we know that Igor is protagonist. I think Igor is the protagonist.
Please tell me it's actually grog.
You pour
Number 5 is
you pour this second red liquid down his throat. It doesn't hurt him. It doesn't heal him. But it does give him an erection.
Hey, you increase my blood flow.
It was a filter. It was a filter potion.
Huh?
A filter, a potion of love. A potion of love and arousal.
Do I see any grog laying around?
Wait, hold on. One of you actually does have grog.
Actually,
No,
it should.
Dennis did.
It should be
Right.
Igor.
No,
Igor,
I don't
you're
have
the one
grog.
that walked out of the. You're the one that walked out of the tent with the grog, because it sent you to hell.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, I still have grog.
you have grog.
And I think it's one dish left, right?
There's one swig left.
Uh,
Because Namian was supposed to grab the last one.
yeah.
Never did.
So
Is
then
there
it's going
anything in
down.
grog that can actually save him?
Lucy, I'm sorry.
How groggy
Igor's
of you.
gonna stick with it. He's gonna put it down. Lucy's. Lucy, are you okay with that?
Gullet.
I mean, Lucy's
Yeah, go
dead.
for it. I mean,
You're
I don't have a choice,
creating
do I?
jungle
Alright,
juice in Lucy's
So then
stomach.
I'm feeding Lucy grog, so Lucy gets to roll.
Okay. 4d10s. Five, 3, 1, 5.
He gets sent to hell.
Fucking. Smelling friend's boat. He gets sent to hell, where we're all going.
I send him straight to hell.
Your ass is going to hell, buddy.
I am the reason for the grog shortage.
Two things happen. One, Lucy becomes conscious.
Oh?
Two, Lucy,
Hmm.
since you are a Dampier, this is especially.
I'm a what?
You're a Dampier.
No, I'm a
No,
shifter.
changeling.
Oh, you're a changeling.
Shifter, not a changeling. A shifter.
You then feel your blood turn ice cold as you regain consciousness. And your mouth really starts to hurt a lot. Specifically your teeth.
Okay, if I'm undead, I'm immediately going to die.
No?
Yes, I am wearing the amulet of pure good.
Oh!
That's
No, you
Oh.
made me undead. I just immediately burst into fucking flames and died.
Not necessarily.
Just the
Yes, a talisman of
Not
pure good.
all
If it
undead
touches,
are bad.
Yeah,
if it's touching, okay, if
what if it's touching an undead? That's
a
what it
fiend or
says.
undead touches it, they immediately take 8d6 radiant damage immediately,
So
and every turn until it is removed.
I will get.
So what the
This
fuck
is what
is
happened.
this?
Hold on.
Play it; it's amazing.
I
Do it.
That's it. I can't kill you. I can kill you right here, right now.
We play by the rules here. You are making me
Yeah.
undead. It is now his fault.
Yeah.
He used the grog to turn me undead.
So
I'm like, I'm alive.
It's not my fault.
So technically, how this is going to play out, you revive, back to full health, but keywords here, but you full turn into a vampire. Technically, that's an undead.
You know what's funny is I already have an ability of vampirism.
No, full vampire. This is like full.
I know. I have vampiric touch as one of my abilities because I'm an undead.
Because of the talisman.
Yeah, okay.
Because of the talisman. Yeah, you literally hear him, I'm alive! As he's then burst into flames of holy white flames.
Igor, see if you can just yank the amulet off of him.
The dead don't speak.
My bad.
Don't they have to
do
make
not
No,
Don't they have to make death saves right now?
they do
Alrighty,
in a
now.
moment.
I don't wanna. I don't wanna make death saves.
I'm cool
so-
with making one.
So you take how many damage? How much damage?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yes.
See,
You said 8d6, right?
8
How much
damage.
HP does he wake up with?
34.
He wakes up at 35.
He said I was at full health.
Oh, he did.
I did.
So I mean, I'm not dead.
You're not dead, but you're
I
hurt
guess.
immediately. You have one
Yeah.
action to pull this talisman off of you. And boys and girls,
MS, you piece of shit. I don't mean that, but damn, what a time.
what a time. I'm going to change the amount for this. Okay, we can play this even more. Piglet. You want to you want to over or under this? Roll a public roll a public fucking 20. If you're above a 10, you pull off the chain and you live, or
Nope.
you're dead.
Nope. He was alive for
He was
a
alive.
second.
No.
Wait, how much HP do you have?
No, he's dead.
I have
He's
had 34. I mean, I had 23.
30.
I had 23. Sorry.
You then watch Piglet. I'm alive, and then after about 4 seconds, just literally disintegrate into a pile of ash with the talisman and all of his objects around him.
Perfect.
Lucy is dead.
That's exactly what I fucking wanted
See,
Lucy
for
is dead.
Christmas. As the
I'm just standing there like,
Survivor's guilt is hitting hard.
Oh yeah.
and I look over to Hazel.
Absolutely.
I guess it's Hazel's time to make a save. Because I'm out of shit. Unless I look, yeah.
I know.
I'm gonna do this last. Wait, hold on. Double checking.
I made. You want me to?
Okay.
you want-
Public roll this one.
What? Oh, okay.
Oh, our death
One.
saves?
Do that.
For Hazel.
Yeah. 1 second. Oh, and the +8. Yeah. No.
No.
You
Okay.
fucking bastard.
Okay. You see Hazel's chest starting to heave and stutters and start to slow down. And her breathing is becoming shallower. Duster.
Drum roll.
Grumjoel.
9.
You gotta get above a 10.
Duster twitches over and it looks like he's about to roll over, but then his body starts to spasm a little bit.
Look around. This place is ramshackled. I can't find shit. I go and I start trying to do 2-finger CPR on Hazel. Trying to make sure they don't die.
Roll me a medicine check.
I'm working on it.
There's plenty of stakes around if you feel like you want to end it too.
I'm not gonna end it.
Igor
I think this
must
is fucking
go
hilarious.
on.
I'm sorry to everybody else. A 13 medicine.
For Hazel, you stabilize for the moment. She's not out of danger, but for the moment, she's okay.
There's like a diamond just sitting on my pile of ash, ready for a revivify.
Yeah, basically. Too bad no one can revivify.
I walk over to Ankle Duster and I start to do the same thing as I trip over the diamond.
Oh god.
Just you trip over the diamond and kick it into the pit.
I mean, technically, I can.
Roll me.
If you
roll
would
me
just
a
wait a
medicine.
day. And I was alive.
Even better.
Alright. They're both stabilized for now, for the next 5 minutes. But then in 5 minutes, they have, in game 5 minutes, they have to make another roll. It will take you more than 5 minutes to get out of here.
Come on, Namir. You. What if you were just here right now?
Okay. How long will it take me to get out of here?
Sprinting with all of Piglet shit and those two on your shoulders.
Fuck Piglet shit. The only thing I picked up was a diamond.
Smart.
How much was the diamond so I can put it on my sheet? Was 300?
300, yeah. Alright, it will take you 2.5
$2.
minutes. It will literally take you, actually, fuck, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And I will rage, so that I do believe increases my range.
It will take
or
you, if you rage, it will take you 50 seconds to get to the lift.
Yeah.
Run, Igor.
This is
Run
some
like the
Saving
wind.
Private Ryan type shit.
Run, Igor.
It'll take you about 45, 50 seconds.
Yeah, I get upstairs and I just look for.
It's like 500 feet away.
He's running 50 feet, 60 feet every 6 seconds.
I'm
Oh,
running minimum 90 feet. Right, because each turn I just dash as I'm carrying them, and the reason why I'm going rage is so that way I can actually carry them. Both, even though they're small creatures. Movement speed's 45. Action dash each turn puts me up at 90. So, and each turn is 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm. It'll take you just about a minute to get to the front.
Sure. Yeah, I go back up to the top. And I didn't really walk around town yesterday. We're at the yellow, right?
Correct.
Here.
You're at yellow.
Oh,
What blue was the inn?
There's a reason I have a key. No, the blue is the church. The yellow is the tavern. But you are at the yellow.
To the church.
Okay. As you run to the church and just shoulder past people, you shoulder past people, some of the priests kind of screaming at you and telling you to hold up and wait. What do you say?
Am I at the church?
You are at the church.
Yeah, okay. So then once I get to the church, I just put them down at the priest's feet, go, "Can you help? I'll pay handsomely."
Okay. They will say yes, and they will roll up their sleeves really quickly and prep their hands. Hazel.
Yes.
Roll for me.
No. No, I don't want.
Oh,
Motherfucker.
Hazel lets out one more ragged last gasp of breath. And then her body just goes limp and limps over in your hand before you set her down. Hazel is
I
dead.
just want you to know. You hear, as who's dying or whisper on her lips. I blame you, Lucy.
I blame Lucy. Duster.
I'm terrified of this roll, man. I've rolled too many good rolls.
Yeah, let's hope it's just not that one.
Fuck.
Okay, okay.
Is that your second failure?
That is no.
That's your third?
Because I got smacked when I got downed, and then I've had 2 fails.
No.
Duster,
My ankles are so cold.
and is the last thing he says, and then Duster's body in suit goes limp as well. Igor,
You have at least one diamond.
it is too late.
No, technically.
Do you have? I have a diamond. Do you know, guy? Do you make live?
Make life?
Make live? Make live?
And I point. And I pick up both my fingers and I go.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
And I point.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Please do eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I was actually gonna pick the person that Igor would actually pick, but I don't want to.
No, that makes
bad
sense. Do what you
animosity.
think is
It would
right.
be. It would be Hazel.
It would be Hazel.
Yeah.
But 1 is Hazel, 2 is Duster.
Hazel it is.
Yeah, Hazel it is.
Yay!
With that, one of the older bishops scoots back and hobbles forward and says, "Move!" and yanks the diamond out of your hand with old man strength, and very quickly drops to his knees and pushes this holy radiant light into Hazel's chest with the diamond disintegrating. And yet fucking again, Hazel lives.
Within 24 hours, you have died
I
twice.
always come back.
Oh man.
Never
That's where we're
fucking
gonna stop.
punished.
We are way past our time.
Never
For good
fucking
reason,
punished.
honestly.
good
That
reason.
was
Goonie.
that was some
FANFO
cinematic
never say
shit.
die.
Haunted one.
What do you mean? I died.
Haunted one background achieved.
All your previous dead party members are glaring upon you as you say that.
So
Nobody's died in my party. Everyone came back as a different person.
you wish. Actually, we are going to. We will play the Survivor's Guilt later because that is a thing.
I definitely want my character's like voice to be in his ear going, because of
It was your fault. Midget and Piglet, throw me characters by next week.
Yeah,
okay.
I got ideas.
Okie dokie. Thank you all for tuning in. It was a wonderful show. Lots of drama, lots of risk rolls, lots of bullshit. Technically, they won the fight, but at what cost? We'll see where we go from here.
We did not die in vain.
I did.